Hey everybody, Steve Hupp, Practice Director, Field Service here at Thunder. And over the past 5 to 6 years, I've been extremely passionate about participating in the communities, the field service communities out there, both the customer and the partner community. And I've brought that passion to Thunder. I just really love going out and collaborating with folks, helping where I can, really helping to evangelize field service across the ecosystem, just to spread as much knowledge and awareness about the product and industry as I can. So when I came here to Thunder, I was very excited about the opportunity to maybe start posting some videos specific to, as I come across questions in the communities, when I'm able to go in and kind of actually set up a solution or configure certain things to actually record, that or what I did and be able to post that out on our YouTube channel. Again, in the hopes of just being able to, further enable folks out in the communities or even beyond the communities who might have struggled with a particular issue or had a question about a particular issue or piece of functionality. So very excited that this is our first one. And I'm going to go ahead and dive right in here. So the question that I picked out of the communities was one I came across, here recently, and it really focuses around resource absences and the Gant. And the question was specifically asking about the ability to edit a resource absence from the Gantt chart. And so for those of you who are familiar, and maybe even for those who aren't, right now today, you actually don't have the ability to edit a resource absence directly from the lightbox. So you can double click on it. You can open the record, go to the record, make the edits, and then have to come back to the Gantt chart. But there's no edit button here, and you can't really edit any of these details, which compared to, a service appointment with opening up that same lightbox, right? You actually have the ability to edit the details within the service appointment. So you can edit, various pieces of the record and then save that and still be within the Gantt chart. So the question was, is there a way that we can accomplish, a similar kind of functionality with resource absences? And the answer is yes, you can. Now, it takes a little bit of configuration and a little tiny bit of code, right? And keep in mind, I'm not a developer. I do not consider myself competent in development whatsoever. So the little bit of code I'm going to show you is something that I could even handle. So I'm very confident that others out there can handle it as well. So it all starts with a flow, right? For those who've ever worked with me before, I'm a huge flow nerd. I love flow. I use it all the time, use it in any situation that I can when it comes to any type of automation within the system. So I've got this really simple flow, and basically what it's going to do is it's going to grab resource absence details based off a variable that I've defined. I'm going to display the details of the resource absence, almost kind of mimic the lightbox where you double click on the resource absence. And then within the screen, I'm going to actually allow the user to edit the Gantt label of the resource absence. And then once we edit that label, I'm going to assign that value to the record, and then I'm going to update the resource absence, right? So the whole goal is get to the resource absence, get the details, display the details, update the Gantt label, and then update the record. Now, here are the little code examples that I was talking about here. So the first one here is actually it's a script that you can find in the developer documentation for the custom Gantt actions. It took a little bit for me to get it to work, but I finally got it to work a little while back. And so I'm using this, and the whole point of this little code snippet is just to close the lightbox when I'm done with my flow, right? If I don't have this piece or this little visual force page, what'll happen is I'll open the lightbox, I'll complete my flow, and then the lightbox will still be there, and I'll have to actually click the X to close it. Not an awful experience by any means, so this is not a requirement. If you don't want to go as far as to actually configure this little visual force page here, you don't have to. But this is something that I really like because I think it enhances the user experience of being able to have that lightbox close as soon as I'm done with my flow, right? So that's all this is doing. So then my second visual force page here is, in essence, is just going to kick off my flow, right? So I define my flow here. This is the API name of my flow. Here's my finished location, which is that closed lightbox visual force page. So basically saying, hey, when this flow is done, this is what I want to have happen. And then I've got my my parameter name here. So this is defined within my flow as the absence ID. And then this value here, which is, again, this is a parameter that is defined within the documentation, within the custom Gantt actions. This is actually a predefined parameter that just allows me to grab a piece of information from the Gantt. right? So in this case, because I'm going to kick off this flow from the resource absence, I'm going to be able to then capture that resource absence ID and then pass that into my flow, specifically passing it into this particular parameter right here, right? So I've got my two Visualforce pages, I've got my flow all defined. So now I'm going to go over here to the Gantt chart. And before I actually initiate anything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into field service settings, and I'm going to show you where you can define these custom actions here. So these custom actions, so this enables you to define either an Apex trigger or a Visualforce page that you can initiate through either a button or a right click on the Gantt, right? So you've got things like the Gantt, which would be your service appointments. So you can right click on a service appointment, you can initiate an action. You also have the ability to do these in mass. So you can do it basically off the service list, the list of service appointments. You can have a mass actions where you can select a bunch of service appointments together and then right click and initiate the action. You've got it in the map as well. And then you've got here this non-availabilities, right? So as you can see, I've already defined an action. And so here is my label for the action. Here is my Visualforce page that I already created that I just showed a couple minutes ago. And then you've got to define a custom permission that the user initiating the custom action is going to have. So I just selected bulk dispatch because that's one that is part of the standard field service dispatcher permissions. And then you can choose an icon, right? Any icon that's available here, you can choose. Doesn't really matter, totally up to you. And so once you do that, you hit save. And then I'm going to jump back to the Gantt chart really quickly. And again, I'm going to right click now, and now I get this edit absence action, right? So again, this is being pulled from the field service settings as I've already defined this. So I'm going to select edit absence, and here I get a light box, right, to come up. So I get my light box to come up. And you can see I've got some information here, right? There's the details that I pulled from the resource absence based off of my flow. So I'm just displaying these here. And now I get to put in here a Gantt label, right? And I'm going to select next. And then my flow is going to end. And because I've got it pointing to that closed Lightbox Visualforce page, the Lightbox closes immediately once the flow completes. And as you can see, I've now updated the Gantt label. So again, a pretty nifty little trick, and you can, kind of mess around with that UI in terms of what fields you want to display, what fields you want to allow the user to edit. But a very quick way to be able to get, a little bit similar functionality to the service appointment and being able to edit it directly from within the Lightbox without having to leave the Gantt, make those edits, right, and then get right back to work in the Gantt chart. So, huge amount of value, in my opinion, stuffed into a little small package of a couple Visualforce pages, a simple flow, something that in all took me, maybe a couple hours to configure in total. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this is something that others can use out in their implementations or as they're learning the product. And as always, if there's anything that Thunder can do for your field service implementation, whether you've already implemented or whether you're just getting started, please feel free to reach out to me directly. You can reach me in the communities. You can reach me on LinkedIn directly, or you can go to the Thunder website and reach out to us that way. So thank you so much, and looking forward to the next one.